We begin with that trade showdown. President Trump pushing an additional $100 billion in China tariffs, and China saying that, well, they'll hit back at, quote, any cost. This is President Trump slams the World Trade Organization in a tweet saying China, which is a great economic power, is considered a developing nation within the World Trade Organization. They therefore get tremendous perks and advantages, especially over the U.S. Does anybody think this is fair? We were badly represented. The WTO is unfair to the United States. Now, to underscore President Trump's contention about the WTO, which, by the way, has become marbled with bureaucracy and delayed adjustments, and it's really unclear if they could even bring justice to this. Let's look at two examples of developing nations, because China says that they're one. China, with a $12.4 trillion annual economy, has about $9,000 a year in per capita GDP. And then there's Togo, with a $4.9 billion GDP and $634 per capita, yet they both qualify as developing countries, and they get those perks that the president talked about. So can the World Trade Organization really referee this fight? My panel now to help break it down, Wall Street Journal editorial page writer Jillian Melchior, David Nelson, Belpointe Asset Management's chief strategist, Lanhee Chen, former policy director for Mitt Romney, and Gary Clyde Hufbauer, Peterson Institute for International Economics. Gary, let me start with you. I read a great piece by you on this very topic about the World Trade Organization, and I think it's time that we start to focus on them, because a lot of folks are saying Trump should use them to resolve this. Do you think that's possible?
Not in the short run, not in less than 18 months. And this battle is on a shorter time fuse than that. It takes cases a long time to grind out. There's a very complicated case. We probably have Europe and Japan on our side against China on the intellectual property issues, all the, forced technology transfer and all that. But this is not going to be any quick disposition. This will be handled, I think, for the most part, bilaterally between the United States and China.
Gary, what do you make of the idea that China considers themselves a developing nation and they get an array of perks that come with this? I'll read some to the audience. They get a longer time to implement agreements and commitments. They get special measures to increase trading opportunities. It's required by other members to safeguard the trade interests of China, and also to help support them in building out capacity to carry out WTO works. How does China get away with this, and why would they allow any nation to sort of self-govern themselves on whether they're developing or not?
Well, you're right. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the way this started was really 30 or 40 years ago, when China truly was a developing nation, and countries self-declare that they're a developing nation. So believe it or not, Singapore, which is richer per capita than the U.S., also is in that camp. This is totally absurd,
right.
And it would be relatively easy for China just to give up that status. That's one thing it could do, no pain to itself.
Jillian, let me ask you, we saw the tweet that actually the $100 billion additional potential, all of these are potential tariffs, additional tariffs. Last night during the show, at one point we were off 460 points in the pre-market. Of course, the market really sold off big, came back a little bit. Overall, I think people are now saying that they're getting accustomed to President Trump and his negotiating style, yet the market really took it on the chin today.
Yeah, it absolutely did. I mean, I think the bottom line here is that these tariffs are going to impose pain on American industries. And I think there's a real political risk that we have to focus on. These are hitting states like Iowa, corn states, states that, by the way, went for Obama twice. So I think the political risk is real. People aren't looking about this in a long-term thing. They don't really care about corporations' long-term intellectual property overseas, although that is a very important issue. I think they're going to care when their business goes under, or when they have to cut jobs, or when their commodity prices rise. Right. And that's the compromise that we're making. You know,
I'm going to have Katrina Pearson on the next block to talk about the politics of this. But, Dave, you know, on one hand, I guess we're saying, hey, should we try to artificially keep the price of pigs down while we give away $600 billion in supercomputer technology every year? I think it's a terrible trade-off since the future of the world is technology. I hate to see China get all of this and fulfill their dreams of dominating the world.
I think most Americans support the fact that we're trying to get back our intellectual property. This is an egregious issue, and it has to be addressed. And in the past administrations, they've talked the talk, and suddenly we have, Donald Trump, who's really pulling triggers out here. The only thing that I think I would take pause with is maybe the articulation of the message. I think it could be a little bit more coordinated. I don't want to see a tweet in the morning and then people scrambling, to the networks to try to explain what the president was trying to say.
Yeah, I think that I don't think is going to happen. Lanhee, other than the ham-fisted approach to this, the crux of the matter and what President Trump is trying to achieve here, again, I think David's right. Listen, we've waited a very long time. We know what China's grand ambitions are. We know that, of course, Xi, on the other end of this, has all the time in the world, and the clock is ticking, whether it's political or economic for us on this side.
Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, the point is that China has been engaging in this bad behavior for far too long. The issue is whether the current set of threatened tariffs really go to the goal of changing Chinese behavior. This is all part of Chinese industrial policy. It's been predictable for many years. During the Obama administration back in 2015, China declared very vocally that their strategy to get ahead in the world was to force technology transfer from countries like the United States. And so the fact that it's taken this long, I think, is the big problem, Charles. I'm not convinced that another $100 billion worth of tariffs or tariffs on $100 billion worth of products is going to get us there. But we have to get to the negotiating table first and express to China that we mean business. I
will say that just moments ago, the U.S. Trade Representative Lighthizer said that Washington talks with NAFTA have been very positive, and they're going to continue to work, and they're trying to work and achieve an agreement there. Here's another part of this, Jillian. In Europe, for instance, the Aegis organization, they represent 30 industrial associations, $500 billion in annual revenue. And they put a report out last year saying that Europe is losing substantial parts of its manufacturing value chain without establishing new value chains to replace them. China, on the other hand, is making full use of seemingly unlimited state capital and taking over industry sector after industry sector. Strategic dumping, intellectual property theft, cyber hacking remains a constant feature of state finance strategy. Real jobs are being lost. So, we talk about jobs being lost here and there, but what about a decade of massive job losses and also the inability to bring ourselves up by the bootstraps? Are we going to become just a nation of consumers?
No, I don't think that's it at all. I mean, I think there is legitimate frustration. China has certainly abused the international system. But I think our alternatives are not full trade war, use the flawed WTO, or live with the current situation.
What are the alternatives? How can we make China change?
I prefer targeted tariffs if we have them, tit for tat. And I also think that the way that this has been rolled out, freaking out all of our allies when we could have used them to have a unified front against China, I think that was enormously counterproductive. I think, if we had like TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, that would have been useful for applying pressure on China.
I'll be honest, I never read the whole thing. It's another one of these big things. I'm just learning all the details of the World Trade Organization, and I agree with our Gary on this, that it feels like it's become antiquated. And so maybe that might have been a good reason to pause in terms of TPP. But how do you see this working out from here, David?
I think even Jamie Dimon spoke to the same issue. He pointed out that he's on the president's side with this. I'm not quite sure how this is going to work out. This is going to take time, and there is going to be some pain along the way. But if we don't make these moves now, when are we going to make it? Defending the status quo is exactly what President Xi is hoping for. He's hoping for our apathy.
Which is exactly why he specifically
he's thinking decades out, and he's hoping that we'll just roll over once again.
Well, you know what? Again, we have over and over again. All right, thank you all very, very much.